Hey guys, it's David from mdbootstrap.com. Today we're gonna learn how to build a Dinosaur Chrome game using JavaScript and CSS. So I'm not sure if you know that game. So every time your internet connection is down, Chrome allows you to play this dinosaur game, which looks like this. So we have this running dino, which is trying to avoid some obstacles by jumping. So it's a very interesting game. Every time when your internet connection is down, you can play that to kill some time. So today I'm gonna show you how build a very simple version of this game using JS and CSS. I have prepared two images, so you can see I have T-Rex and a cactus, which I just basically took from the game. And yeah, we're gonna build, other than that, we're gonna build the game from scratch. You're gonna find the files for this tutorial in the description down below. So if you wanna get this code or you wanna have these images, just clone our repository. Now let's start with creating sample files like index.html with basic markup. So we have just this HTML markup here. Let's check live preview. For this one, it's empty, obviously. Now we need two more files. One's gonna be for our styles, CSS, and the other one for scripts, JS. And now let's just link them here. So we have link styles, and let's add our script source to script JS. Okay. So now our setup is ready, so we can start building our app. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna have some div called game. So there's gonna be our wrapper, and I need two objects. So one's gonna be a dino, so div for our dinosaur, and another one for a cactus. So we have two divs here. We can't see them yet, obviously. Let me do it like this. So you can see the live preview over here. We don't need this anymore. So let's move to styles now. So I'm gonna start with game. So game, let's give it some width. Let's say 600 pixels and some height, 200 pixels. Now let's add some border, 1 pixel solid black so we could see it, and let's center it using margin auto. So now we have it centered. So now we can move to our dino object. So we want this object to have some width, obviously. Let's say it's 50 pixels, it's square. So the height gonna be also be 50 pixels. And let's get some background color, let's say black. So we have this square over here. Now we want to pull it down to the bottom, and next we're gonna animate it so to simulate its jump. So I'm gonna change its position to relative and set it to top 150 pixels. So this will push our element 150 pixels from the top. What we have to remember here is that the lower value, the lower amount, 100 pixels, the higher our object is. So when we're gonna jump, we will be decreasing this amount from 150 to something like 100. Okay, so having said that, let's move to our jump animation. So we want to animate our square. Oh, actually, we don't want square, right? We have an image here. So let's replace this one with a background image, and we have it under our image folder, so image/T-Rex PNG, and the image is too big, so we just see a piece of our image. So let's also change the size of our background image. Obviously we could prepare our image to have 50 pixel by 50 pixel, but we can also adjust this using CSS. So now we see our dino over here. So now let's move to the animation. So we need obviously keyframes. Let's call it jump, and let's do it something like this. So at the 0% we want be at the bottom, which is 100 pixels from the top. Now, somewhere around 30%, let's say we're gonna jump up to 130 pixels, which is like 20 pixels up, more or less, and actually exactly 20 pixels up. Then somewhere around 50% we want to be at the very, very top. So let's say the top's gonna be something like 80 pixels. And then get back to somewhere at 80%, we want to get back to 130. And then finally at the end, we want to get back to the ground level. So top 150 pixels. And let's see, let's add this animation over here. So we want this animation jump. Let's say 0.3 second, linear, and I forgot colon here. So now, as you can see, our dino is jumping, but obviously we don't want to add it like this because then it jumps once. What we're gonna do, we're gonna create a special class for it. Let's call it jump, and we will be applying this animation by adding or removing this class to our object. So let's do it right now. So we're gonna do it with the use of JavaScript. So let's move to JavaScript now. Let's do Dino object. So our reference document get element by ID. So it's Dino. And now let's create a function jump. So this function will make our object jump. So what do we want to do here? We want to actually add class to Dino. So Dino class list add. We're gonna use add function jump. And now we need to obviously invoke this function. We could do it on click, but let's use keyboard for this one. So I'm gonna add some listener here, document add event listener, and I want to listen to key down function, and we want to do jump. So basically on any key press currently, so regardless what I press on the keyboard, it will jump. Obviously we could specify specific key code for space or for enter or for whatever. I'm gonna leave it like this for now, but what is important is that now it's jumping only once. So every time I refresh the page, it jumps only once, and this is because obviously once we add this, let's have a look at our Dino. It doesn't have any class now. I'm gonna press space and it will add class, but this class remains over there. So that's why it doesn't jump again. So what we have to do, we have to get rid of this this jump class. So let's do it this way, that after we add it, let's set timeout function, which will remove this class, remove jump class, and obviously we want this to happen after some time, let's say 300 milliseconds. So let's have a look now. So as you can see, after 300 milliseconds this class is gone, right? And this is obviously because we set this interval to 0.3 seconds, which is equivalent of 300 milliseconds. So this animation lasts for 300 milliseconds, and after that we're gonna get rid of it. But what's wrong with this is that we can still initiate this animation a few times. So if I press many times, you can see it wants to jump again. So let's add some extra check over here. So if Dino class list doesn't have jump class yet, then only we want our JS to add this extra function. So now this this code will be executed only if there is no class jump here. Once it added once for 300 milliseconds, it will this check will give us false, so it will not try to reset the animation over and over. Okay, so we have this jump animation now. So now let's move to our obstacle, so to our cactus, which we also want to animate. So let's get back to styles and let's create this cactus object. So we have this cactus div, give it some width, some height. Now again, we're gonna use position relative and we want to move it from the top something like let's say 110 pixels. From the left we want to push it 580 pixels, 580 because the entire width is 600, cactus is 20 pixel, it has height of 20 pixels, so we want it start to 580 somewhere here, because if we put, actually let me show you what happens. We're gonna put 600 pixels and let's give some background color, let's say black, so it's gonna be out of our frame, so we need to push it back, pull it back to something like 580. And actually we don't want this to be 20, we want this to be 40 pixels. So this is how we want our obstacle to look like. And obviously as before, let's replace this color with an image which we prepared before. So we have this cactus, now cactus, and then again adjust the size to 20 pixels by 40 pixels. And now let's move to animation. So we want our obstacle to move from right to the left. So let's add keyframes. Let's call it a block. And this is gonna be very simple because we want our object to move from left 580 to 100% to the left, and we want it to move to, let's say, 0 pixel, but I think it's not gonna be enough. Let's see, let's add this animation block, 1 second infinite. Yeah, we want this, first of all, we want this obstacle to move even further, so I'm gonna set it to minus 20 pixels. So we want to move this out of this box. And we don't want, you can see that this is not linear, right? It's moving faster and slowing down, and this is not what we want because it's gonna make our game too difficult. We want this move it linear. Okay, so our animation is running. We can jump over that. So the last thing we have to do for now is to do, we have to detect collision, right? So every time our dinosaur doesn't jump over the obstacle, but it will fall into that. So let's move to JavaScript part now. And what we're gonna do, we're gonna add something which we're gonna call isAlive. So we're gonna check whether our dino is still alive, and we're gonna use setInterval for this one. So this function obviously allows us to schedule function which will trigger this. Let's do some console log check. This is gonna trigger this every X milliseconds. So we're gonna check it every 10 milliseconds. And let's see our console. So as you can see, it's checking, the counter is growing here. So every 10 milliseconds, we are checking whether our dinosaur is alive or not. So how are we gonna check that? We're gonna use get property. So we're gonna check what we're gonna do. We're gonna check the position of our dino and position of our cactus, and we're gonna see whether they interfere with each other. So let's do it like this. Let dino top. So we're gonna be looking for the top point of our dinosaur, and do it like this. Window get computed. Oops, equals get computed style dino, this is object, and then get property value, and we are interested in property called top. Okay, and I'm gonna show you how it works in a second. So console log dino top. Okay, so now see, this is the top position of our dinosaur in the y-axis, and now when I'm gonna jump, you can see that this is changing. So this is how we check the y position of our dinosaur. And by the way, you can see that this is giving us pixels. So what we have to do, we have to parse it. So we're gonna do parse int, because we don't want this pixel stuff, we want just a number. So we could do some calculation on that. So now we have just a number. Now we're gonna do the same, exactly the same with cactus, but so we have to create another variable here, constant. So it's cactus, document get element by ID cactus. So now we can catch it, and let's do the same. Let cactus. This time we're looking for the most left part of our object. So let's do it like this: parse int window get computed style, and this time from cactus. And we want to have get property value, and we are looking for, oh, come on, for left, right? And then do console log cactus left. So now, as you can see, this value is shrinking, is decreasing from 500 or 600 to 0 over here. So now, once we have these two values in our hand, we can do a comparison. So let me add some comments here. So this is get current dino y position. This is get current cactus x position, and now we want to do detect collision. So how are we gonna do that? It's very simple. We're gonna check. As you already know, this is at this point we have like 600 left, and it's shrinking to 0 over here. Our dinosaur is 50, it has 50 pixels. So what we want to check is whether the cactus is currently somewhere between this point and that point. So somewhere between 50 and 0. And we also want to check, this is gonna be collision, unless our dinosaur is in the clouds at this moment, so it's jumping. So we need to check the cactus position and cactus X position and dinosaur Y position. So let's say we're gonna do it like cactus left, and I'm gonna play with this number, don't worry, this is just the starting now, and cactus left is greater than 0, and dino top is greater equals than, let's say, 140. Okay, so in this case we have collision. So let's see, console log collision. So now, as you can see, now we have this collision, but if we jump, the counter doesn't, here it's increasing, right? But if we jump over that, we don't have collision anymore. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna, in that case, we're gonna alert something like game over, and this will stop our game. And once we, oops, And once we jump over obstacle, we are not hitting this anymore. So yeah, that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that wasn't too difficult. I hope you can see how much you can achieve with just a few lines of JavaScript and CSS. A bit of creativity, and yeah, I mean, obviously we could enhance a lot in this game. So we could get these pictures more precise. Now we can see this white background, which is covering our dinosaur. We could play with this animation. In the real game, our dinosaur can not only jump but also crawl. So we have obstacles which are not only on the ground but they are flying over. But I hope that now you can try to and play with it and build something by yourself. So yeah, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to check our other videos. Don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to leave a comment, and finally, obviously, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, because on every Tuesday and Friday we are having for you new tutorials like this. And finally, check description down below. You're gonna find a link to our Facebook group where you're gonna find a lot of support from our members in case you have any issues with any programming issue or problem. So thank you very much for watching, and see you in the next video.